This video is brought to you by you guys. Thank you so much for voting for this list, and please click the link in the description below to vote for your favorite power character in the game. Hello everyone and welcome to the top 10 most popular mind characters on Bleach Brave Souls. Now before I begin, just a few things. First of all, I'm sorry this video is a little late. I kinda had to move apartments between the last video and this one, so I didn't really have a lot of free time. Now at the time of this recording, Candace Catnip will be released in about 4 hours. Because of this, she will not be on the list since she wasn't out to be in the poll back when I made it. That said, let's get started.
The Almighty は未来を改変する力だ。さあ、絶望してくれるなよ。みんな。
Now we're starting off the list with Yuha, a character I honestly did not expect to see on this list, mostly because I honestly never see him these days in the game, whether it's PvE or PvP. But I guess being the ultimate bad guy has its perks, and maybe that's why he ended up here. He does have a really high SP and Berserker at 50, plus all of his attacks with the exception of his special have a chance to inflict debilitating paralysis, at least until he uses his special, which is one of the strongest specials in the game. It not only inflicts debilitating weakening, but he also has bombardment making it hit twice as hard, and it gives him and the rest of the team barriers. It also completely transforms him and makes his normal attack and strong attacks hit harder, as well as completely recharges his strong attacks. At this point, all of his attacks can inflict debilitating weakening instead. Now this transformation does last 30 seconds, afterwards he reverts back, and his strong attacks get completely recharged again. Yuha also has a damage reduction soul trait, and he starts off with 10 barriers. Now while his special, attack range, and debilitating ailments help him, he does have a major drawback in his killer, since because it's a captain killer, it doesn't really get the benefits of multiplication in any of the events that multiply killers, which at this point is most of them, the only exception being the bosses, but it's really only one enemy. That and the fact that while he does have a really high SP, he doesn't have Frenzy, which is kind of a bummer. Still, it doesn't mean he's not useful in several Senkaimon floors, and despite all of these flaws, he still remains a lot of people's favorite mind character.
これが完璧な生命だ。ラビーダ・フォルニカラス。
Next up is the Can't Fear Your Own World version of Szayelaporro, who's got a really high SP as well as Frenzy. Szayelaporro can also inflict debilitating poison on all of his attacks, and since he has a strong attack recharge link, he can basically spam this. That and the fact that his attacks have insane range mean that he's very likely to inflict debilitating poison, especially since his strong attack 2 is a crawling vortex move, and he has a plus 20 havoc, meaning the range of this attack and all of his other strong attacks is increased by 20%. In fact, it's because of this that his strong attack 3 actually goes a little bit beyond full screen. Now, in addition to dealing poison with everything, Szayelaporro is also completely immune to it, and his special, in addition to dealing poison damage, also grants protection status to any team member alive when the special is activated, meaning they come back from the dead if they were to die anytime after. Seriously, it's one of the best specials in the game, and it makes Szayelaporro not only a great boss killer, but also a great support character.
Bankai!
天差残月。
Next up is the remake of the ultimate all-rounder, the Bankai version of Ichigo Kurosaki, which sounds really weird to say, if only because there's a lot of them. This one in particular though is one of the better ones. Not only does he have a really high SP and also Frenzy, but he's also got a plus 40 Berserker, meaning his strong attacks hit incredibly hard. In addition to that, he's also got a plus 40 Bruiser, so his normal attacks are actually usable and deal a decent amount of damage. And believe it or not, both his normal attack and his strong attacks get even better, because after he uses a special, in this case his Bankai, he transforms, and they deal up to 30% more damage, not to mention that his strong attacks completely recharge. This Ichigo is also completely immune to being paralyzed, and he's able to hit all of the hidden enemies, so he's able to complete quests faster. He's also got a strong attack recharge link, and while not in his soul trait, is able to decrease the damage dealt by Soul Reapers by 20%, which combined with the Soul Reaper killer, making him a really useful character to take against Soul Reapers. And while he doesn't have bombardment, he does have devastation at 60%, which is 20% more than the usual 40. With his normal attack, strong attacks, and special being really good, I think it's safe to call him a solid remake of the ultimate all-rounder.
ようやくまともにやり合う気になったようだな。
Coming in at number 7 is personally one of my favorite characters in this game, and one of the few characters I'm proud to have 5 out of 5, White Zangetsu, who has a really high attack as well as a plus 50 bruiser and a plus 20 Nadlink. And while he's a melee character, he's got insane reach on his normal attack, making him really fast for quest and a solid choice for autoing, especially when you take his strong attacks into effect. They not only have great range, but he's also got a plus 40 devastation and they can all inflict debilitating weakening, something that's particularly useful for his strong attack 2 and 3. The second one is a vortex move that surrounds him and is incredibly likely to inflict the weakening, and his strong attack 3 gathers enemies in one spot before hitting them one final time. It's not only useful for inflicting weakening since it hits so many times, but it's also really useful for crowd control and prepping for the oncoming onslaught. Then we have his special. While it can't inflict debilitating weakening, it does inflict weakened defense. Combine that with your strong attacks, and White Zangetsu can deal a whole lot of damage. I'm certainly glad he made it on this list, though I'm sure it helps that he's a literal fusion of two very popular characters.
Santa Teresa!
Now you may have noticed that we skipped straight from number 7 to number 5. This is because there were two characters tied for the number 5 spot, one of them being Espada number 5 Noitora Gilga, specifically the Can't Fear Your Own World version, who has a really high attack as well as flurry and poise. In addition to that, he's also got a boost move that transforms him, not only increasing his attack, defense, and focus by 33%, but also the magnifications on both his normal attack and his strong attacks, increasing the damage even further. Now he doesn't have enhancer, so it only lasts 10 seconds, but considering he's primarily a PvP character, 10 seconds is sometimes all you need. Now as I mentioned, he's primarily a PvP character, and he is certainly built like one, having a damage reduction soul trait, a captain killer, the flurry and poise I mentioned earlier, and the ability to inflict debilitating paralysis on all of his attacks with the exception of his strong attack 2, which he is more likely to land with his normal attack than others since it does hit twice. In addition to all this, he also starts off with 10 barriers, so he's more often than not gonna hit first, since he's protected for the first 10 hits. Noitora has always been a lot of people's favorite Espada, so I'm really not surprised to see this one on the list.
貴様の全身の感覚は俺の手の中。
Now as I mentioned, there were two characters to end up at number 5. The first was Noitora, the second was Koga. And while Noitora excels in PvP, Koga more than excels in PvE. He not only has a really high SP and frenzy, but also boosted strong attack recharge link of 14%, letting him spam his strong attacks. And you can bet that he will because they have some insane range, thanks in part to his plus 20 havoc, but even without it, honestly, I think they would still be pretty crazy ranged. That and the fact that they're really quick to activate means that he could clear a room incredibly quickly. Plus his strong attack 3 can inflict debilitating freeze, and his strong attack 2 and special can inflict debilitating paralysis. It's honestly no surprise he's on this list. I mean, think about it. Despite being a filler character, this is the third iteration of this character in the game. Next up is the Anniversary Full Hollow Ichigo, who is the much requested remake of this character. Not only does he have a really high attack, but he's also got flurry and poise. And while he doesn't have long reach, he does lunge forward a little, actually giving him a slight increase in his normal attack range. Now like a few other characters on this list, he's also meant for PvP, and it shows. Since like I mentioned, he does have flurry and poise, but he also has a captain killer. In addition to that, he's also got an ability that reduces the amount of damage he receives from captains by 20%. He's also got an ability that prevents enemies from healing in brave battles, which is pretty much the only ability specifically naming brave battles. This Ichigo also has a last ditch survival link, which comes in handy not only in PvP but also in PvE. And then we have that glorious special that might just be the coolest special in the game. Now obviously people have a soft spot in their heart for Ichigo, he is the main character, and Full Hollow Ichigo is one of the coolest designs. So I was sure I was either going to see him or the original Full Hollow Ichigo on this list.
挽回大グレン氷林丸敵は全て排除する
Next up is Zombie Toshiro, because of course it is. Toshiro's always been very popular, and this one's definitely no exception. He not only has a really high SP, but he also has Frenzy and Poise, a combination not unique but also very uncommon. This basically means that his strong attacks can't be interrupted, and unless of course he's frozen, paralyzed, or killed. And this is very useful because his strong attacks have great range and deal a really good amount of damage, since he also has Berserker at 20. This puts him in a very unique position, since he can actually be useful in both PvE and PvP, at least to a point. This Toshiro can inflict debilitating freeze on all of his attacks with the exception of his strong attack 2, which can inflict debilitating weakening. And his strong attack 3, while not being full screen, does hit a large area in front of him, and is able to take out enemies he can't even see, making this character incredibly quick if you know where the enemies are going to spawn. Now Toshiro isn't the only character we see zombified in the manga, and I certainly hope he's not the last zombified character we get in the game.
冷圧で一息に押しつぶす波動の99五竜点滅
Next up is the 1000-year Blood War version of Aizen, a character who's always been very popular, and who we finally got to see along with his amazing chair. This Aizen is currently tied with the highest SP in the game. He's also got Frenzy and can inflict debilitating weakening on all of his attacks, and very likely to do it too, thanks to his strong attack 2 being the Crawling Vortex. Now we have a strong attack 3, which is a charge move with a twist. Not only does it double in damage when fully charged, going from a 120 mag to a 240 mag, but it can be charged an extra time, making it go from a 240 mag to a 480 magnification strong attack 3, essentially 4 times stronger than a regular strong attack 3, and definitely stronger than his special. Now while the trade-off is that you do have to charge it for a pretty long time, it can come in handy in Senkaimon, where you can have a decent amount of time to charge before a boss or enemies that haven't attacked you yet. Then of course there's the option of not charging it all the way, which leaves you with just a regular charging strong attack, which is also pretty good. But that is just his strong attacks, that's not where this character ends. He's also got a last-ditch survival ability that lets him come back if he were to die, and he starts off every mission with 10 barriers, meaning that if you wanted to start off with a fully charged strong attack 3, you can actually do it pretty easily, since as long as you don't get hit 10 times, you've got about 20 seconds to charge your attack without being interrupted. Also, he's got a really nice chair. Now before getting to the honorable mentions, please take this time if you haven't to click in the link in the description below and vote on your favorite power character in Bleach Bright Souls, which I will then turn into a video like this one.
その力の名前はね、挽回だよ。
どれだけ数がいようと全て狩る。逃さんと言ったはずだ。
倒れろ魚でようこそ逆さまの世界
逃がしやしないさ。好きに暴れてくれていいよ。この命の檻から出られやしない。覗きなんて野暮ね。そんなに見たいならいらっしゃい。送り知るぜ、ニコミキどもへ。徳永様のお役に立ってみせます。
Now finally at number 1 we have Hikone, and I have to say I am surprised. I mean, I knew he was going to be on this list, but I actually didn't expect the number 1 spot. It makes sense though. He's got a really high SP, Frenzy, and can inflict debilitating weakening on all of his attacks. He's also got great range on his strong attacks, and thanks to his strong attack recharge link, he can pretty much spam them. Now Mokona is a very swift character. As I mentioned, his strong attacks encompass a wide area, but he can also move to the other side of the room very quickly, because he has an extra sprinter and he has long stride. Now granted, this was a lot more useful in the older guild quests, but he can still breeze by events and easily dodge enemy attacks and bosses specials. He's easily one of the best mind characters in the game, and as of right now, he's definitely the most popular. Except for maybe Candace. She's technically not out at the time of this recording, so we're just gonna have to wait for next time to find that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for some more top 10 lists.